Hey, everybody. Welcome to Buzzing About Romance. I am Becky, and joining me for this episode is Leah. Hello, Leah.
Hello, Becky.
And Heather. Hello, Heather.
Hello.
2 weeks in a row.
I know. Who is this person?
What is this madness?
I know. I
Um,
know. Don't get used to it though.
okay, we won't. We will not get used to it. But we're happy to have you here. And how is everybody's weekend? Did everyone have a good weekend? I feel like I need to ask these questions because the state of everything, we just
We
need
had
to.
a swim meet all weekend, so that was our fun.
How was your fun?
It was not fun because it was very poorly run this weekend and it was long and never ending. But thankfully, we divided and conquered because the kids are in different sessions. So instead of being there for 15 hours, it's not really that long, it just feels it. I only had to do one session with
That's
the kid, and
nice.
then Michael did the other session.
Well, that's nice. Heather, how was your weekend?
Good. We had Owen's hockey banquet, and so we are
Oh,
officially done with
high school
high
hockey.
school hockey.
That's
Yeah,
sad.
it
Oh,
is. So they all stood up and said what they were doing next year. It was just really sweet, and I didn't cry. I'm very proud of myself.
I'm proud
That's
of
And
ex
you.
that's
and
very
Justin and Owen
nice.
were like, "You didn't even cry." I was like, "I know. I'm so proud of you." I know. Yeah,
That's
it was fun. It was
exciting.
exciting, and it's also exciting that he's on to something
The
else now.
Yeah.
next. So, fun fact, our high school just won states for hockey for
Ooh,
yeah, so it's very exciting. They've never done that. Our hockey team is not usually very good at all.
That's
yeah,
exciting.
it is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Becky? What'd you do this weekend?
Took Chris to the airport. I checked out a Goodwill bookstore, which
Wait,
what
it was
Mm-hmm.
just a bookstore?
yeah, it's just the Goodwill bookstore.
Mm-hmm.
They're popping up all over Southeast Michigan and Toledo and Ohio. There's
Oh,
one over in Cleveland. I saw one down in Marion, and this one was in Temperance, Michigan, just on the other side of the Toledo border. And so it
interesting.
was just books. It was very interesting. I do not love the way they lay it out because it's fiction, nonfiction, young adult, children's, entertainment, and then self help and cookbooks.
Mhm.
Oh my God, the cookbooks, you guys. If you're into cookbooks, the cookbooks. There was tons of cookbooks. So it was a little harder to find the romances.
Oh, because it was just all mixed into the fiction
The
section.
only thing they had really grouped together was the Harlequins,
Mm.
which I did
Mm.
find a NASCAR Harlequin. I
I
was pretty
I saw
excited about
that
that.
you took a shared a picture of that one.
That was so funny because Jenny's like, "Where are you?" And at that time, I was driving, and we were in line at Wendy's to get lunch.
I mean,
But yeah, that's what I did. It was really interesting to to go there and to see it. I got a lot of cute, mass market step backs. So many awesome step backs. I found a bunch of Lisa Kleypas and a couple Joanna Lindsay's that I didn't have. So
and a couple that you bought multiples
I
of.
bought multiples of a few too. So there's that. But I'm obsessed with a step back. Give me a clinch cover.
Yeah,
So, but
there's just
yeah,
something about those.
yeah. I love a used bookstore. And when we were all done, Sydney did say to me, she's like, I really prefer the dollar book swap in Dayton more. I'm like,
Oh,
okay.
really?
I'm like, okay. Well, there's a lot more, it's categorized a lot better, and there's a lot more
Mm.
digging. It's not just, I don't know. Do you guys have family video? Do you know what family video looks like?
Mm-hmm. We used to have one,
We
yeah.
Okay,
we
so
don't anymore.
this bookstore, nobody has them anymore. They went under, but this bookstore is in an old family video. So it was
Oh, okay.
basically a
Mm.
family video sized bookstore,
But
but
books.
books. And there just wasn't a ton of digging around and stuff.
Hmm.
So, which I think
We
she
have
likes.
one. I just looked it up.
Oh, do you have one?
Well, their website is pretty interesting. Like it categorizes it. I mean, you guys have four in Ohio
Yeah, I knew there were quite a
and
few.
two, it looks like two in Michigan, like Detroit and Traverse City.
Yeah. There, I mean, I really love the concept of that, because people do donate a lot
Mm-hmm.
of books. to the Goodwill, and I do wonder how many of them just kind of get lost in translation in the big stores
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, bookstores are growing. It's interesting to watch because I think we personally, and I don't know, part of it's because we're immersed into the book world. So we hear about a new
Yeah.
bookstore, we see it. But, like did I tell you guys that our bourbon bar in town, the last
You told me
Tuesday,
about it.
the last Tuesday of the month is hosting a book swap. You can bring 4 books and you have to leave with at least one. And then they have
Fun.
special drinks. They have drink specials and stuff for that Tuesday night. Well, it gets people in your bar on a Tuesday night when people aren't necessarily going out to the.
Well, there was
Yeah.
that brewery here in Minnesota that did like the adult book fair or whatever.
Yeah.
And like they had no idea, but it was like that it was going to be as popular. So they were like around, like it was 4 blocks long the wait to get in. And so they've moved it to the fairgrounds now, which we do the fair here, people.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
we do the fair. And so the fact that they're at the fairgrounds, it kind of tells you that
It's a big deal. Well, there's a brewery in Toledo that does it with an indie bookstore. They host an adult book fair. But it's a fundraiser for a teen book festival that they have in Toledo every year.
That's cool.
So it's a fundraiser. And nobody's done anything like that here, but we don't technically have an indie bookstore in Findlay. We have a used bookstore, but Findlay itself does not have an independent bookstore. And at this moment, we do not have retailers other than Walmart and Meijer that sell books. Because we had a Books A Million in our mall and it closed. Our mall got sold. And they're tearing it
That's
down
happened.
to build a Target. So,
wow.
Wait, so
and
you're gonna have a
like,
Target a lot closer now?
like on the
and
other
it's
side of
Target
town.
pickup, which by the way, if anyone listening is in the Midwest, there is that it's called the Midwest Indie Bookstore Roadmap.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
very cool. And if you go to you like can look it up online, but then you can go check out the store and then they have the maps. And they have a new one now for 2025.
That's so cute. And there are just
Mm-hmm.
so many bookshops. I did started a list. We had people putting in our Discord indie, especially romance specific bookstores. And I'm curating a list. I wanted to put just something up with links to those store on our website because many of us, somebody sent me a bookshop and it's in Ohio, but it's like it's actually closer to Leah. It's in Ashtabula. So it was closer to,
Oh, that's not too
technically it's
far
closer
then.
to Leah than it is to
Mhm.
me. Because Ohio's kind of bigger than people realize. But, if I can get Mike to take me on an adventure, I'm always up for
On an adventure.
always up for
Yeah,
a
I think
bookshop.
Ashtabula is only like an hour and a half from me.
Yeah, it's not far. So anyway, so we did the bookstore and
81 miles.
you could
So not far at
that's
all.
not far at all.
We have one here. I wonder if you put ours on. I will tell you. If
Okay.
you
Well, we'll get that. Bookstore roadmap or road trip. Yeah, I'm all for a bookstore road trip. But bookstores and book shopping, which currently the hosts of Buzzing About Romance have a book shopping problem.
Oh my gosh,
Mhm.
so much. So
We
much
have
of
a
a
book
problem.
buying problem.
very much
But
so.
that is
It's because
not.
they have freaking adorable things like this that come out, and so you have to
Mhm.
get them.
But you were gifted that copy, so
I
it
was
doesn't
gifted that one,
count.
but I'm just saying, stuff like this comes out, and you're like, oh, I have to have it.
Just so you know, though, seeing that book, the titles that I am gathering for Sapphic Summer, like
There's some
so
really
many
good
great
ones.
titles, so many great titles coming.
Mhm.
But this is not our topic tonight.
It's not.
What?
We are
could
not
literally
talking
talk
about.
about that.
We
all
could
the
talk
time,
about
though.
it. I mean, like, there's books coming to my house on Tuesday because books are being released on Tuesday, and I must have them. And then, I do stupid things and I buy
Multiple
3
versions of the same
copies of a
thing.
book because I
Girl.
can.
I feel like
This
I've
was
had
really good though. 10 out of 10. Everybody should read it. The audiobook was great. And I know it's a
the
chunky
audiobook
beast.
is very good. I haven't finished it yet, but like I am into it and it is really good.
So this was, I really did enjoy this. So I'm not sad that I have all those copies, but but they're so cute with the letters and there's a map inside.
I've had way more control than anybody else.
I have
It's not been
decided
good.
that I'm not telling like the people that I live with this, but I'm telling the rest of you. So if you see someone I live with, don't tell them this. I have to not buy books that I haven't read. I mean, like, I feel like that is just the basic rule I should follow.
But I do that. I only purchase paperbacks of books that I've read.
Oh.
Not me.
Yeah, Becky is
Becky's
not
like,
the
I
same.
don't.
Becky is not the same.
We're not the same. Oh, this is pretty. I'm gonna buy it. Like, but I eventually read them. Like, I bought the Ruby Dixon, the Minotaur book, because that cover and those edges. But I read it and it was very good. I really enjoyed it. So,
Well, I mean,
my budget does not allow. Ooh, that's pretty. I'm gonna buy it.
It also doesn't help though. Leah's starting to experience this. Publishers in your email every day. Like, can we send you a finished copy? Please.
Why, yes, you can.
Feel free. I need a dopamine rush.
Those ones, it's different because I'm not buying those. They're just showing up in my mailbox.
Except I have
like the
no
last
space.
4 books I've gotten, I have not purchased. They have been like given to me by publishers or authors, so I don't have issue with that.
Susie says that she has bought books that she hasn't read, and so far she's been very happy with her choices.
I'm not saying it's a bad choice. I'm just saying my book budget does not allow those choices.
I'm very happy with my choices too, but I don't know. I do feel better about myself when I order from like indie bookstores, like The Last Chapter or
Novel Grounds.
Oh my God, Novel Grounds.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I feel like I'm like, at least I'm not just supporting Zahn.
Thinking of
we have some exciting news. Oh, go ahead. What's your order? Go ahead.
Did you dive into the Eloisa James thing, like with the step back?
No, I haven't found it yet.
Okay.
You have to find me the link.
Just email her and ask her.
Yes, send me the link.
I shall.
But exciting news, actually, and I will announce this again later this week, and it'll be up on our website. We got granted affiliate status with bookshop.org.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So you can buy books, like if you're just buying the deluxe copy that's available everywhere, you can buy it through bookshop.org, and then 10%, I think it's 10% of your purchase comes back to us at the podcast. So we're
going to be building TBRs over there.
Yeah. So I had Jenny digging through it today a little bit, and we'll get that set up this week. So look for our announcement later this week about our bookshop.org affiliate, and you won't feel bad about buying books because you'll be helping us keep the podcast on the air.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Okay. So again, this is not
our episode. Not even close.
Not even close. Okay. On this episode, we are diving into a trope that sparks a lot of controversy and conversation. We are talking age gap romances. Whether it's a few years, well, we're going to talk about that. Or a couple decades, these stories explore relationships where age becomes part of the dynamic, adding tension, depth, and sometimes a little scandal. We're going to talk about what makes age gap romances work, the potential pitfalls, why romance readers keep coming back for more. So grab your drink and let's dig in. So first, let us talk and define the age gap.
Mm-hmm. Let's do it.
What is the number that you consider an age gap?
Like the least number?
Yeah. Like, is it 5+? For me, it's 7+.
7+ for me.
Um, I think it depends on like
The
if it's a
ages of the
college romance.
characters.
So like I think about a college romance, like if it's an undergrad and like a professor, um, I think that it's like
But a
six,
professor is going to be at least 7 years.
Yeah.
maybe.
Because even if they just have a minimum of their masters, that's 4 years college, 18 to 2 months.
That's true.
So it's at least
That's true.
six minimum.
Yeah, I would say 6 to 7 is definitely what
I
we
usually use
consider.
7 because if I think about it, between, especially as you start to get past 25,
Yeah.
is there that much of a
Mhm.
difference between 26 and 31?
No.
You
No.
know, it I just don't feel like there's enough. But I think that there's enough difference between 25 and 32 with that
Yeah.
7 years.
Yeah, so like when we started dating, I was 18 and my husband was 25. And I think that was like, you know, a difference.
Right. Well, you had different priorities, different places in your life. At
Correct.
25,
But
he
you
was
also had
starting
different frontal
working.
lobes.
And now there isn't a difference.
No.
You know what I mean?
Mm-mm.
Like we're old.
Right.
Well, and that's the thing too,
But
like you look at age gaps differently when the ages are
mhm,
different. Like a
for sure.
7 year, like the age gap is always there. Like, but if it's
Right.
like a 37-year-old and a 30-year-old, you don't necessarily notice the age gap, but it is still an age gap.
Right. It's like where you're at in your life. Like
Yeah.
when I was in college, he was like in his career. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm still writing papers and he's,
Mm-hmm. Grading
like
papers.
has a big boy job, you
Yeah.
know?
Making
Yeah.
lesson
Does
plans.
that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I agree. The 7 years makes sense, like in books. But then the question comes, it seems like people have a lot of feelings about like what too much of an age gap. And it seems very double standard, which is very uncool.
Yeah, it's really interesting
Yeah.
to me because, so first of all, if we look at our origin story of reading romance, for me in particular, I come from a historical romance background.
Which is
Those are all
notorious
technically
for age
age
gaps.
gaps, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
he has to be established in society and, he's the bachelor and everyone thinks he's foregone for hope of ever finding,
'Cause he's a rake.
you know,
I want a rake, a reformed rake. Oh, because they
right?
make the best rope. I mean, like, let's be
Yeah.
real.
Right. So, coming from a historical background, age gaps are just normal. And also, if we look at a lot of movies,
Yeah.
Michael, when we were talking about this, he's like, look at movies. There's age gaps, and you don't even realize that those
Mm-hmm.
actors are like years apart in age.
Like Han
Mm-hmm.
and Leia.
Right. Right. So, age gap does not bother me as long as,
Mm-mm.
and this is, as long as consent is clear. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot
Yeah.
of times, I know people get a little up in arms about like the dad's best friend. I know we've talked about like QB Tyler wrote a stepdad, stepdaughter romance. In those instances, the female main character is the pursuer of the relationship.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I think that shifts the power dynamic when it is the younger female going for what she wants.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Let's see here. Okay, so I'm going to ask a first question. So, power dynamic, life experience differences, and emotional maturity. How do those feed into the forbidden element for you? Do any of those, like, let's say you have a character that lacks emotional maturity, does that bother you in these books?
Sometimes, like it kind of depends on the age of both of them. Like if
Mm-hmm.
she's 18 and he's like 25, the emotional maturity doesn't bug me as much because he's still a kid essentially. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be a fully grown adult, but at 25 most males are not fully like mature. And so I think it depends on the situation of the story. Like if he's 40 and she's 20, then yes, like he needs to be mature and like emotionally, like he can be kind of emotionally stunted, but like he needs to be emotionally mature also.
Hmm.
Heather, do you
Yes.
think communication
Mm.
plays a significant piece into a well-written age gap romance? Like if there's good established communication between the characters.
I do. I think that comes into the maturity. So good communication, and it usually is where the male is older. I think that the heroine generally has to be a little bit more mature and
Hmm.
be able to communicate a little bit
Yeah.
better, like more mature and very like in touch with her. I don't want to say feeling, but like
Well,
sort of almost like she needs to know what she wants, right? Like,
right.
and that's
Like
often what
old
we see.
soul type of
These hero,
thing.
hmm
The
these
other
heroines know what they want. They have no interest in being a party college girl. Like
Yeah.
they're interested in kind of moving on to the next step. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but yes, because I think that one of the things that makes age gap romances, especially for some of us that have been reading romance a while, we automatically get emotional stakes and you get a conflict because of the age. So you're
Well,
less
especially if it's a larger gap too.
right, you're
Yeah.
less likely to have stupid reasons. And in an age gap, I don't know about you guys, I don't mind other woman drama with an ex-wife that's or an her ex that's his son or
I mean,
somebody,
I am down for an ex's dad, so
but I don't mind
I
that
do not.
other person drama that might come in those because
But it
Hmm.
has to make sense and it can't be forced drama. Like they can't be added in to like create conflict that doesn't make sense.
Exists really.
so
I would agree.
the other thing that I often like about age gap romances is and I think that this was the discussion that happened around Ellie Hazelwood's that's coming out in May, um is this it's a power imbalance. And but I was looking at my list, and oftentimes it's not a power imbalance because,
Mm-mm.
again, the ones that are my favorites, it either has to do with a huge amount of caregiving,
Yeah.
like in Praise by Sarah Kate. She needed someone to care about her and to give comfort and be there for her emotionally so she could disconnect from all the things she was carrying around.
Hmm.
Or we get
Yeah.
something like um, the RSVP by Lauren Blakely, where she's the pursuer.
Well, even in the Tryst in that series, like she's more the pursuer as well. Like,
Right, because they hook up at a random at a
yeah.
business conference. Yeah, she's the flirt. So I like those, right? Like I and I don't feel like there's a power imbalance in those. And even what
Mm-mm.
did we just do recently? That one Regret by Carrie Elks.
Yeah.
He fell first.
Well, but there's not, but like with that one too, like she is very well established in her career. She is not like she's floundering in the sense where like she's moving home because of like situational things, but like she has an established career. She's successful in her career. Like she made some missteps like in France and is coming home because of it, but she didn't lose her career. She's just changing location of the job. Like, and she is emotionally more mature than he is at times. So, I mean, if there's a power imbalance, like the younger person has the maturity that the older one doesn't there.
Yeah.
I think age gap often happens in mafia, right? There's the arranged
Yeah.
marriage, whatever. And I think it's the perceived that the man who is technically older would have the power even in a mafia romance.
But
And
they
then as you
don't.
read it, it's really like these women really just like kind of wrap them around their finger, right? Like,
Right.
Hmm.
yeah,
No.
it shifts. and they fall hard and fast, and
Yeah.
yeah.
And even if we look at, and I will say, yes, do we come across age gap romances where the consent feels dubious? Absolutely.
Hmm.
But
Absolutely.
that there, like, you can't find a trope in romance that does not
That's right.
exist. And that's the thing. Like, there's dubious consent in every style of book. And so it's like, yes, with an age gap, sometimes there's a little more question with it because of the subject, like the tabooness almost,
Right.
sometimes the age gap. But the dubious consent factor, like, you can find that across the board.
And I don't mind dubious consent. Obviously, it's
Uh-uh.
not a problem for me.
Mm-mm.
Um, I
Same.
but I look at
Me either.
there's other there are other books that we read, especially like Damsel in Distress,
Yeah.
that we read those, and those could be the same as an arranged marriage in Mafia
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
she has nothing else. Like if you think about Come Again by Jiffy Kate,
Yeah.
she has nothing else. She is running away from her life. She's
Yeah.
broke and destitute and doesn't know what she's going to do. He opens up opportunities for her. Um, but how is that any different than, you know what I mean? Like if you have someone that's been kidnapped or forced
Yeah.
marriage and stuff like that, like again, I think it's how it's written, right?
Hmm. Well, like Keeping
But
Denver by Crystal Alvarez and no, Crystal Daniels and Sandy Alvarez, like she's homeless. He like brings her in off the street. She gets a job, like he moves her in with him. And so it's like there's these situational things where it could be like a little suspect, but at the same time, like he definitely falls first. And so it's like the protectiveness of it is
Yeah.
such a big part of the story.
so one of my favorite age gaps is The Steady by Kelly Fox. And so it's an MM romance, and
Hmm.
it was the last book in the series, and this is so good. One of the main characters was a widow, and then the other main character was the late husband's like student. And
Mm,
so the younger one is really providing like emotional support for the older one, and he's like very steady, like very emotionally stable, very calm. And the older one is sort of like reeling with his own, grief and managing. And it's so well written, and you would think there was a power imbalance because of the eight, like the older one would have the power, and that's really not how it
Yeah.
is.
hmm.
Well, and that brings up gender role within age gap.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the things that will be very clear if you've listened to us for any amount of time or spent any minute on our website, we do not use the term reverse.
No, it's stupid.
No.
It's stupid. We don't like it. Um the societal norm is he's older, she's younger, but we read
Mm-hmm.
a ton of
Yeah.
her being older and him being younger. And also, in a lot of queer romances, we're reading
Mm-hmm.
where, you know, and so I don't think gender role defines age gap either.
No. Well, and like
Totally
just
agree.
to say reverse is stupid. Like one of them is older, one of them is younger. Like
Yeah.
who like announced that like it has to be a male to be older to be regular and then the female is older to be reverse. Like that it's just dumb. But anyway.
It's very
But
dumb.
actually, one of my favorite ones is Boy Toy by Serena Bowen and Tanya Eby. So she is older, he is younger. She used to babysit him and he had like the biggest crush on her. And then like as like he's
Isn't
out
it
of
her best
college.
friend's brother too?
I think it is her best friend's little brother,
Yeah.
yes. But that whole series is just really funny. But like he like I mean, granted, he pursues her because she's like, you were too young for me, like I babysat you, but it's just really fun.
I
Well,
have not read that. I clearly need to.
oh, that
No, it's a
series
really
is
good
super cute.
series.
And Tanya Eby
Hmm.
is actually a well-known audiobook narrator,
Narrator.
and those
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
audiobooks are exceptional.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a really good series. It's Man Hands, Boy Toy. There's four books in the series. Like one, he's like a hot cop, and there's like a whole like thing with that, but it just
Teddy Hamilton narrates Boy Toy. So
yeah. Teddy actually would be
yes,
the
I love
perfect
him. God,
voice
I
for
love
that
him.
character.
Um, it's
I'm gonna have to change his name
Well,
though.
yeah.
do we have a name for
It's
that
Liam.
series? What series is that called?
Um,
Man Hands.
It's the Man Hand series by Serena
It's called
Bowen.
Man Hands.
is that the
Yeah.
series too? Because
First book is Man Hands. Second book is Man Card.
yeah.
Boy Toy. Man Cuffed.
So, and for anybody listening, and Juan, just so you know, you should be able to find a list of all the books we talk about on our website. If not, right after the episode's over, by tomorrow morning
Yeah.
when I've had coffee. Um,
We'll try at least. Our lists are not always
they're not
the
always accurate,
best.
but feel free to email or DM us and ask us
Yeah.
all the questions because we're happy to give extra recs.
Well, and Laramie Briscoe has one. It's called Renegade. It's book one in her Moonshine Task Force. It also is brother's best friend. He is younger. But so she was in a not great marriage and like gets super drunk at the beginning of the book and is like, I need this and this and this from
Well, that's
from
like
you.
Pool Boy by Nikki Sloan. She's a
Mm-hmm.
divorcee. He's the pool boy, and it's which
Yeah.
again, we're reading a Nikki Sloan book for Sip and Discuss this week. I don't know what we're discussing, but we're discussing.
There are things.
Um, and
Well, and Danica has one, Take the Shot. It's book one of her hockey
Oh,
series. She is
yeah,
older.
she is older. Well, and
Yeah.
I like Wild Ride by Kate Meter because
Well, it's Kate Meter.
it's Kate Meter, and we all know that I
Mhm.
love Kate Meter. She's a single mom, and
Mm-hmm.
he is the
The
rogue,
Manny.
the rake of the hockey team. He's
Oh,
the
okay.
one from Jock Wanted that the girl is like fake dating
Oh, yeah.
because he's such a train wreck. But
Oh, he's a
then
hot mess of chaos.
he has to he gets volunteered to work at an animal shelter, and she runs the animal shelter. And it's just so cute, and he loves her and he loves her daughter, and it's her as the older person that is struggling with the fact that he's so much younger.
Mm-hmm. Well, go ahead, Heather.
Daisy Jane has one too. It's called The Wild One. So he's like a secret millionaire. He's younger. She's like a single mom, and there's a really nice kink in it. Daisy Jane writes some kinky, but like low key kinky, and
Mm-hmm.
this man is obsessed with her, and it's really good.
Do like a good
Like I said, she's a
obsession.
single mom with a baby. So what do you think the kink is?
Oh.
Would it be nursing?
Yeah.
Um well, okay, so um, as I was going through my list, I realized there are certain authors that for age gap, when I want like a gritty, dirty age gap romance, I always go to. And Zoe Blake, I think she only
Oh,
writes
yeah.
age gaps.
No, she doesn't, because that Cavallari Billionaires only book one and book four are age gap.
Okay.
The other three are not.
But those men are obsessed and kinky.
Well, they're obsessed. But
And
I'm just
kinky.
saying, just like Daddy, Barone, and then the uncle, those are the only two age gaps. The other three are not.
Did I ever show you my really pretty book that I got with the beautiful edges for Daddy Barone?
Yes, I have seen
Have
it.
you seen it?
I have
Maybe.
seen it, and I have been tempted to purchase my own. But again, I've put myself on a very strict physical book budget.
And so as we talk about Zoe Blake, where again, consent in her books is
Not really there.
dubious, a lot of mafia, a lot of primal kink. We
I
then
know it's
switch over
dubious.
to like My Favorite Kidnapper by Melanie Moreland, which is Fluffy Cupcake age gap.
Yeah.
That book was so cute.
They're Canadian mafia. They probably apologize before they,
Well,
like,
is he well, it's never clear what he does in that book, right?
Nobody knows what he does in that
That's
book.
right.
He just
kidnaps her and takes
takes
her to
her.
Italy
Yes.
and makes her make him cupcakes every day.
So if you're
I
gonna
mean, there's a
kidnap
cupcake
me,
kink.
just make sure I have my Kindle and go ahead and bring me to Italy. That's fine.
He took her Kindle and her cat so she wouldn't be alone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, don't bring
He's
a
like the
cat for me,
perfect
'cause I'm not a
kidnapping.
fan.
Oh, he's an art trader.
Jenny said he's an art trader, so yeah, he definitely is a
Oh.
thief of some
And
sort.
Stacy says art thief.
Yeah, probably.
And then there is Archer by Rebecca Sharp, which I love that series.
Such a good book.
It's such a good series.
Actually, her Covington series has a couple, like some age gaps in it too.
Well, I think
she
all
likes
but
an
one
age gap.
Well, the one book, the last book with her Spencer Reed character,
Mm-hmm.
she's
Reynolds,
older.
Yeah.
She's older and he's younger. But the first 3 books I think are all age gapped.
Yeah.
With him being older.
Maybe not huge, but even in her Vigilantes one, like the last one, it was like fought like dad's best friend's daughter.
So because Archer is Aaron Hotchner of that series.
Yeah.
We're not gonna even talk about the amount of times my child has reread that book.
It's such a good series. Honestly, like all of her books are very good. You should just read her. But she does like an age gap. Because even in her snowboard series, I think it's book 2 or book 3, it is like one of the snowboarders and then his best friend's little sister.
Vanessa Vale
They're
also
giant alpha holes, though, just so you know.
Vanessa Vale
Vanessa Vale
writes
likes an age
age
gap.
gap.
Mhm.
She and
And
Renee
she does them
Rose.
both ways too, because Man Hunt,
Candy.
he's older, but Man Candy, she is older.
Yeah. I love that series. I think that is such an underrated, cute, contemporary, almost rom-com series.
Yeah.
And those are mac and cheese reads. Those are
Oh,
warm
yeah.
chocolate
Quick
chip
reads
cookies.
too. Like they're easy reads, they're funny, they give you what you need.
I just read one recently, Whirlwind by Kayla.
Oh,
Is it
Gross?
Kayla Gross, yeah.
So
That was her Twister
good. It
fan
was
fiction.
so good. He's the professor and she's the master student, and they're storm chasers. So they
did
are
that-
chasing tornadoes.
Because that's one where it can get tricky, right? Because Love Hypothesis by Allie Hazelwood, which it makes no sense that people got all up in arms about her problematic summer coming out, because Love Hypothesis is an age gap. But it's student, professor, student.
Mhm.
And I know that can sometimes be a little bit of a trigger for you. You don't love student teacher. So
This is different. They're like, she's older. She's like 25, I feel
would say
like.
it's
She's
a lot of it's the
master's.
age with Heather.
Yeah.
Amanda never likes those ones. That dynamic.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter the age.
I don't have, I mean,
Heather
have
doesn't have
very
a lot of
few
triggers.
That's fair.
Unless her kids' names pop up, she's not really gonna care.
Another author that likes to write age gap is Lauren Rowe. As I was going through, because Reed Rivers is an age gap, Finding Home, Seabaum's book is an age gap. I think her club trilogy, I think they're an age gap.
So if you like a novella, Fiona Davenport, who is Rochelle Page and Elle Christensen, all of their books are age gaps, and they're fairly decent sized, and they're obsessive. So obsessive.
Jessica
Kane.
Hers are ridiculous, though.
Well, those are very taboo,
Those are okay.
There's
like,
not always a lot of plot.
There's no plot.
Every once in a while, you'll come across one that has a little bit of a plot.
We know I don't like this
tries
word.
To have a plot.
Lucy Darlene also likes an age gap.
But I want to go back to Jessica Kane. Those books, like,
they're bananas.
I read the grandfather one.
Mm-hmm.
It was like,
oh yeah.
I'm like, what?
Oh yeah.
You think too much.
Yeah.
Just I
You just
mean,
have to go into it for the pure joy of the
Like, there's
chaos.
Daddy
Actually,
Kink,
she
but
has
I
a
don't
new
have a
one
Papa
coming.
Kink. Like,
What?
I don't have Papa Kink. I might have Daddy Kink.
Oh,
oh,
I read a Janika Snow where like she had a bad day. And it's called Daddy's Naughty List.
Janika
He
Snow is
was dressed
another
up.
one.
Yeah, he was
Danica
dressed up as
Snow.
Santa Claus, but he
Yeah.
wasn't Santa Claus. That's just how they met. I was sitting at the swim meet reading it.
Oh my God. Yeah.
My
So,
mom's like reading over my shoulder.
oh my gosh,
Oh
no.
no, my mom was reading the 707 in like triple canopy. So
Oh.
Lady reads exactly what I do. Maybe not all that I do. There are some things I don't recommend to her, but other things I do. Yeah.
There, if you are into Mafia and you haven't read L.K. Shah and her Donnelly series, it's
Oh
in
yeah, those ones are
Kindle
good.
Unlimited right now. And there's several age gaps. There's some arranged marriage, and it's so good. I started 2024 reading the
Yeah, they are
series,
good.
and it's so good.
Yeah, Irish Charmer is she is older, he
Yep.
is younger. It's a secret baby.
Yep.
Um, the last one in that series, I can't remember what it's called, but there's quite a big age gap.
Irish
He's
Rebel. Yep.
he's a little bit of a daddy.
Oh, and the cover.
It's very nice, yes.
Jane Henry likes an age gap too in her Mafia.
Charity
That's
Farrell also does Age Gap
Yeah, in
with
her
her
Mafia
her
series,
Marchetti.
Gorgeous Monster,
Yeah.
that
Um,
was an age gap.
I
Helena
want to just hit
Hunting
back.
likes an age
Oh
gap.
yeah, she
Huh?
does. Oh, she's got that one
She has
that
two. Book
where
three,
Wait,
she's
who?
older.
book
Yeah,
three, and
Helena.
book four in her current Toronto Terror series. Um,
Oh
are
yeah.
both, or no, book two and book four in her
Well,
Toronto Terror series are age gap.
in the bittersweet heart, that
Oh, right,
series,
book
like
two.
in Maverick's book, she's older because she's his
Uh-huh.
professor or the TA or something
Well,
for
I
his.
actually have like quite a list of where she's older. So,
I do
Lessons in
too.
Corruption by Gianna Darling, that kicks
Yeah.
off her motorcycle club series because the first one, she's older and he is her student.
Yes.
And
Well,
in
and
the
then
second
Welcome
one,
to the Dark Side, like there's a huge gap there
right.
with Daddy
Uh-huh.
Zeus.
The Takeover by T.L. Swan, she's older, he's younger. Um, Measure of a
40 Love.
Man, what?
40 Love by
Oh yeah,
Olivia Dade.
40 Love. Measure of a Man by Molly McLean. That's the third book in,
Mm.
and it's not my favorite, but it's just because there's no third act breakup and she didn't know where to end it. It was like
Well, and
75
also it was
pages
really
too
hard
long.
to follow Jesse.
Right. Well, because he's the man. Um, Vanessa Vale's Man Candy.
Mhm.
Nothing Feels Better by Britt Benson. It's part of her little 4-book series, not her
hmm
rock star stuff.
Karina Halley has The Forbidden Man. Was titled The Younger Man, but she retitled it not long after it came out.
To the Forbidden.
Yeah.
Mansplain by Avery Flynn. She is older. That was in the
Oh,
Cousins book. And
yeah.
King by Sawyer Bennett that just came out last fall. She's an established pediatric doctor and he's in his first year um, on the Titans and came up from the minors and he's like 22. And Heather loves a golden retriever. King is a
hmm
golden retriever. Like he's the goodest boy. Like
I do love
Well,
a good boy.
and in the same hockey vein, Xavier Neal's the owner. She is older.
Mm.
He is the hockey star. She is like has inherited the hockey team. It's a Las Vegas marriage, accidental
I
pregnancies,
love
like
all
all the
those things.
things.
Um,
Yeah.
The Indomitable Mr. Temple by Lindo Forbes. She's older. He is actually closer in age to her son, who is 17, than he is to her. He's like 26, 27, and she had a teen pregnancy, and she's like 41, 38,
hmm
41 range.
There's one coming out like that. She had a teen pregnancy. her son is on the NHL team and she falls for the captain. Oh my god, what it's coming out and I have it on my list. I gotta find it.
You find that.
So
Um,
freaking good.
but
Lily Valenti has one. It's called Seduce. It's in her Virgin, like for the Virgin series. I can't remember the series name off the top of my head, but she ends up being like the executive chef at like the restaurant that he works at.
nice.
Mm.
I love all of that. Uh, so for ones where he's older, okay, you guys, I have to say this. We obviously have a type because I went through this list of age gap and all of these books um, are high ranking books for us, or we did like sip and discuss for them. Um,
I mean, I just
because
really like an age gap. Like
Me
honestly,
too.
like I didn't have to do any like deep
no,
dive for this episode.
Mm-mm.
Like a lot of like every once in a while we'll come across a trope where I have to really look through my Goodreads because past Leah was an
I
idiot.
had over
But
300
age gap,
shelved. Yeah.
well, I only had 55 shelved, but like just looking at like the first page, like honestly, I could look at my shelf and like just pull
Right,
like
which is what I'm
all
doing
the
because
titles.
like Janet Aston, like her
Well, she
trust
likes an
right
age gap
wrong.
though
She
too.
also does butt sex well because she uses lube.
Well, and
Um,
Lonnie Lynn Vale, she likes an age gap a lot of times. Like she has multiples where it's like the best friend's dad, or like there's a 20-year gap. Like
Heather
she likes an age gap.
was
So what?
Royal by Rebel Shaw Royal.
No, Crying Shame was an age
No,
gap.
I think
Royal
Royal
wasn't.
was too. She was the nanny, right?
Yeah. Um, so I don't know what year I read that. So I read 61 age gaps in 2024. And thus far in 2025, I have read 17 that I've shelved as age gap. So I don't know about Royal.
Well, yeah, it might have been.
I think it was an
Now that
age
you think
gap
of it, now that you
because he
say it,
was
I think it might have
older.
been.
I don't know. That book is so good, and again, it's one of those that nobody talks about. But I also
Well,
need.
else like one is Marie Johnston. Because it
She
can't be an
does
episode if we don't bring her up.
a
I
This
mean,
is
1000%.
true. We have our
she
What
the
usuals.
also
Yeah, because
Walker
book
Rose,
one, yeah, Walker
yeah.
Rose does like an age gap too. I mean, it's Marie, so
right?
it just kind of goes. Neva
Samantha
The
Whiskey.
Alta,
hero.
Samantha Whiskey also likes an age gap.
Oh yeah.
yeah, Neva
Mhm.
Alta likes an age gap too. I
She
mean, a
does.
lot of hers are mafia, but like
Yeah.
there's age gaps all over the place there.
I love Gareth by Samantha Whiskey. That kicks off this new series that hockey series she's writing right now. That's
Hmm.
the main hockey team. Gareth
Ooh.
is the owner of that hockey
The
team.
Bangor Badgers.
Yeah, the Bangor Badgers. But I loved Gareth's book. It was so good. Another author that loves an age gap and a little bit of bonkersness. So if you're looking for a little kinkiness, Sarah Bale.
Yeah. Yeah, her villainous tales they're all age gaps. His holiday treat, it's her dad's best friend. That's a
Yeah,
really good book.
that is a really good book. But then, I feel like we have to talk about Katie Robert because she's a little bit of the OG
Your dad
on,
will do.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
So I had that down. You guys, if you haven't read Your Dad Will Do,
you are
do
missing
yourself
out.
a favor. Get yourself that book.
Yeah.
Well, in Kay Webster,
'Cause-
she does a lot of age gap as well.
But yeah, Katie does
I
it
mean,
and
hers,
does it so well because she has the Guardian one
Mhm.
and the
is she
dad's
it? Yeah.
best friend. Another one that likes age gaps, and we don't talk about her books enough because I think it's because they're trilogies, is Sky Warren.
Yes.
Mm,
Well, really,
yeah.
anything in that Midnight Dynasty world is often an age gap,
That's true. That is true. Many of them are.
but they're all trilogies.
But they're all trilogies.
So one of my favorite age gaps, and it really is because I think it's the setting that really makes me love the book, is The Hero She Craves. So it's dad's best friend, and she's like like by oh my god, she's a student and she's doing research on the water, and he's like captain of their yacht,
Mm-hmm.
and it gets attacked, and so then they have to like go to Hawaii, and oh my god, the setting is so beautiful. It's like a
Yeah.
third character, I feel like. And
Um,
that's by Anna Hackett.
Before This Ends by Aurora Rose Reynolds is an age gap, and she has age gaps, I think, in her Underground Kings too, doesn't she?
Well, she has age gaps in everything actually, because some of her Until books are age gap, because like Until
This
Bax
is
is an
when we
age
need
gap.
Amanda because she's the one who's read through this the most recent.
Yeah, but Until Bax is an age gap. December is an age gap. Not huge, but there's definitely one. I'm pretty sure July is an age gap because I feel like Wes is quite a bit older than July.
Has anybody read Older by Jennifer Hartman?
Mm-mm.
It's a beefy book, but everyone's on it's so good.
And it's apparently very emotional, but it's an ex's dad or
Ooh.
dad's best
So
friend, one of those.
I think Jennifer writes very emotional books.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard. I've never read her though.
And I will tell you, she is very kind. She
She's the
is one
nicest.
of
I
the
met her.
kindest.
She did
Mhm.
the signing up in
Yes.
Toledo at the Barnes and Noble a year ago, and kindest.
So
So
I met
kind.
her in Iowa twice, and she was in Denver and she was in Las Vegas, and people like were clamoring to get her, and she's very sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
So
heard
sweet.
really good things
We
about her and her books.
we briefly touched on this person, but I feel like she needs to be talked about. And it's QB Tyler. She writes some seriously amazing age gaps that border a little on the taboo side.
She
Yeah,
does
she likes
push
Like
the
the
taboo.
envelope.
however you view them. She also can write the heck out of a spicy scene.
She can.
Like,
She can. Well, and if
yes,
you want
that
an
girl can write.
emotional age gap, I think
Mhm.
Melissa Foster does that too.
Mm-hmm.
That book, the second book in the
Always Her
Redemption
Love.
Ranch,
Oh yeah, that one, Sully.
Sully, that one, um, you know, it deals with some heavier topics and it's
Which
really
one
well
is that
done.
called? Well, and then she has Levi and Tara's book, which is in her Silver Island series. Like it's um Sister's X.
Yeah. But I do agree with you, Heather. QB Tyler, she pushes the envelope, but it never
Mhm.
feels forced. It
Mm-hmm.
always feels like it's consensual, always.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because
Always.
oftentimes it's the female main character that's doing the pursuing that has the power in that
It's the whole
dynamic.
femme fatale thing
It
that
it is
Mhm.
an age gap, especially I think both ways even.
yeah.
For an age gap, if she's older or she is younger, I think that definitely is a female character that's the femme fatale,
Yeah.
you know.
Mhm.
Um, Although I will say in Lindo Forbes' book, he is like he's got the charisma. He's the over the top, like trying to convince her to
Well, that's
date
like
him.
the Tanya Ebby, Serena Bowen boy toy. Like he is more the pursuer, but it's not like in a creepy way. It's just a,
No.
I know that we're going to be really good together, so you need to get over yourself type of thing.
Jill Ramsauer writes a couple age gaps too.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, because isn't Silent Vows an age gap?
Yes.
I think
And
so.
book 4 in that series, I'm pretty sure is an age gap. Oren's book.
Well, I thought, and wasn't book two with her, or no, book three, where he blackmails her, or is that book four?
That's Oren's
Mhm.
book,
That's
right?
Oren's book, yeah, where he
Yeah, I think that's
blackmails
book
her.
4. Book 3 is the, well, but there's a couple novellas in there, so it's hard to tell. Because Pippa is a novella and it's like
Yeah.
between 1 and 2, but it's kind of a book, but kind of not. So like hers, the
The
numbering's like
Melissa book
weird.
is For the Love of Whiskey, is the
Yeah.
Melissa book. Thank you, Bonnie, for telling us that. A.L.
Ah.
Jackson also likes to write some age
Mhm.
gaps. Do you think that age gap romances outside of like Your Dad Will do you think that there tends to be like this emotional component? Like, because even Praise, she
I mean,
had
I think
some
there has
emotional
to be some
components
sort of
to
an
it.
emotional component. Like there has to be like reasoning for it. Like why is she as a young woman attracted to the older man? Like not so much like why is he as the older man attracted to her, but like the emotional side of where her thought process comes in and like why is she
Yeah.
pursuing him? And I mean, it same goes like when it's the opposite, like when she's the older one, like what what is the emotional I can't think of the
The
word,
stakes.
Like,
What?
what
yeah.
emotional need are they trying to get met?
Yeah, yeah. Like, why are they going after that older person? Like in
So
Renegade, like
I'm
he's had a crush on her forever, and she's like, I need to be fucked and I need to be fucked hard. Like I couldn't say that earlier because the boy was down here, so but he's had a thing for her, and so he's like, I will be your boy toy for the night, and then she ends up pregnant.
So I have a friend who's going through a divorce, and so she's like, I haven't been single in like 25 years, and so she's on the dating apps, and like when they say that younger men are attracted to older women, she's like, Heather, these guys are in their 30s and they're like matching with her.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That does not shock me.
Well, but part of it is that whole like scientific where like your sexual prime comes in, like males like peak higher and sooner than females do.
But I also
I
think
mean,
I
I mean,
also think it's a little
not
bit
always,
of,
but
I don't know. I do feel like age gap isn't just fantasy. I think there's a lot of real life
mhm,
hmm.
I agree.
components to it. And um Mike's 18 months older than I am, and he's actually the closest to my age that I ever dated. I always tended to date older.
Hmm.
Um, and it was something about maturity and emotional stakes. And so as an older woman with these younger guys, it's more of like, I don't have to be responsible.
Yeah.
Well, and that's like her thing. She's like, I have been a mom and like, she's like, her kids are older, and she's like, I don't have, I can finally have a little bit of fun in my
Yeah.
life, you know? She's like, I don't need a babysitter. I can go out. She goes, I don't actually have to come home. She's
Right.
like, it's
Yeah.
kind of like freeing. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I read a super emotional series, and
Okay.
it's not going to be for everyone. But it's called Scars and Stripes. It's a trilogy, and it is an series around wounded veterans, and they are um, it is so good, so emotional. And this is by Raquel Riley. And like I said, it's not going to be for everyone, but it is definitely emotional. And I really, really enjoyed it.
Okay.
And there's
So
age gaps.
because we spent so much time talking about book shopping, is there one age gap romance that if you could have everybody read, that you would have them read before we move on to the next part? So we're not here for like 12
I
hours.
can't narrow it down.
Um,
There's too many.
If there just is there one book you
um,
wish more people like with an age gap that you wish people would read? Pick
Well,
up.
really just the whole Black Resort series by Layla Frost. That whole
Okay.
series.
That whole
All three
series.
of them are age
Little
gaps. They're
Dove,
delightful. Little
Little
Dove, Little
Sunshine.
Sunshine, Little Goddess. If you don't like a daddy, though, it's not for you because book one is daddy. Book two, he likes ropes. He likes to tie her up. He is also a little bit of a daddy. And then book three is a why choose.
Okay. Do you
It's an
have one?
excellent series.
Do you have one, Heather?
um, I do. I think it's the Swift Brothers series by Riley Hart. By Riley Hart. It's an series. It's set in a small town in Michigan, and again, check triggers. But it is super duper emotional and lots of mental health rep. And Riley does a phenomenal job of writing the mental health, and everyone should read it.
So I am gonna this is the only age gap I think in the series of three books, but that is What Heals Us by Maggie Gates. And
Mm.
it was such a great book. And then, What Saves Us, all three of those books are exceptional. Um, And I think that if you want a well done age gap, especially within what heals us, she's a little naive because of the circumstances surrounding. She had a kidney transplant and
Hmm.
growing up as a medical child with kind of helicopter parents. You think she's going to come out of this being like very naive and just goes along with everything, but she doesn't. Also, the town in that book, they manipulate the situation to hook them up.
I like a schemy
But
town.
also, like,
Me too.
honestly, if you just want something fun, read that Vanessa Vale series, the Manhunt series,
Hmm.
or Janet Aston's Wrong Trust,
Yeah.
Wrong Right Trust, or whatever it is. Um, that series is exceptionally well done. Um, okay, so that is it for that. There was some discourse. I'm just going to briefly. There was discourse earlier this week about a Daddy Dom little girl romance that got taken down because it was not a romance. It was just gross. But we will discuss that in an upcoming episode where we kind of do a state of romance. So we're not touching on that
Hmm.
tonight. Um, but if you have questions about it, feel free to ask us. But also, that brings up if you have a topic of something that's going on in Romance Landia right now, or you have a question about something, send it to us. We're compiling our list for our state of our romance episode that we're going to do in April. Because April is 2 weeks away, guys. 2 weeks.
Oh, that means
I'm
the
not
birthday
ready.
is happening.
Yeah.
I'll
Uh,
be 14. I don't like it.
someone in
My
my
kid is
relationship is going to be
graduating.
50.
I know. I know, but I don't like it yet.
So,
I have a 14-year-old also,
yeah.
and an
I
adult.
know.
Yeah.
I know you
I
do.
mean, I have a
He's
21 year
supposed
old
to
and a
renew
19-year-old year
his
old.
he's supposed to renew his driver's license, and I'm like, hey, we gotta do this. And I'm like, you gotta get on this. I'm like, you're an adult now. You have to do these
Well, and
things.
he has to do selective service registration too.
Yeah, within 30 days of your birthday.
Birthday. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's coming
Yeah.
up on that.
Anyway, so that's what we have for age gap. If you are looking for a certain trope or a certain rec with an age gap, send us a message. We have tons. And there are several listicle articles on our website right now for age gap romances. She's older, he's older. Um, we talk a lot about age gap.
We do.
So feel free to hit us up. So now it's that time.
It's that
Yay.
It's
time.
that time for Book of
Oh,
the
oh,
Week. Book of the Week time.
yay.
Leah, what's your book of the week?
My book of the week is Hardly a Gentleman by Eloisa James. It comes out the end of April, actually. But it is book 2 in her series that she's writing. It is chaotic and funny and historical, and it just is a really well done book. And there's a silky chicken named Wilhelmina in it. And like this little boy just loves this chicken, and the heroine is like trying to pass herself off as a housekeeper, but she's actually a lady, and like she had gotten groped by the prince, and all these things are happening, but nobody like believes that she is like a housekeeper. And there's a character named Cobbledick in it, and it made me giggle every time I read it.
You also had the honor of getting to talk to Eloisa James.
I
And so
also had
that
the
interview
honor
will
of
be
getting
coming
to
up.
talk to her, and I told her that I read it as Gobbledick the first time, and then I giggled every time I read it after that. She's like, that was kind of the idea. So he's
She's
not the hero, though.
he's
He is just a dude who drives Clara around from London to Scotland,
she's
and
such a
it's in
great
the
author.
Highlands, and yeah, it's a
She's
really good
fantastic.
read.
Heather, what is your book of the week? What are you reading?
Well, I'm on a complete binge. I am still reading There's to Defy. It is book 4 in the Marriage Raffle series, and it is a book like $5 in the series. I started it on Saturday, and I literally am obsessed, and I can't put it down.
Okay, who's that by?
Um, it is by Stasia Black. I'm going to just
Oh,
remind people though, it is a dark romance. Dark romance. It's not going to be for everyone. There are triggers and there's content warnings. I don't need those, but I know so many people do. So it's dark. There's stuff on page that you probably don't want to see, but I cannot literally put it down.
Okay. Okay. So I kind of had two books of the week, but one, I read The Story of My Life by Lucy Score because I had to check it out, and I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad that I did. Um, it
I
hit,
am in that right now. I'm
yeah,
doing the audio. It's delightful.
it hit that mark of where the town is a character, the town pulls together. There are a couple things in it that bugged me. It is not a perfect read for me, but it was very well done. I did enjoy it. I'm just kind of tired of the whole like the female main character being a romance author. Like, I don't need that anymore. Like, she could have been anything. Anyway, but my actual book of the week is The Girl Zone by Lauren Blakely. It is out this Wednesday, March the 26th. It is an age gap. It is a coach's daughter.
Oh, I like
He
a coach's daughter.
falls first. They are adorable together. They have a great meet cute at a coffee shop. So much tension, and they kind of develop a friendship, and then they connect, and then he realizes it's the coach's daughter. Like, it takes a minute for him to know that. And it just, this little friendship they have just blossoms into this bigger chemistry. It's just really well done, exceptionally well done. I really, really enjoyed it. And of course, Lauren writes a beefier book. And I wasn't, this one again, I wasn't like, geez, oh man. And these covers are adorable. So
They are really cute.
did you see she recovered the RSVP and the Tryst?
The Tryst? I didn't.
She did to these to the same illustrator that's doing these hockey covers.
Ooh, dang it.
And they're pretty good. They're pretty good.
I haven't looked. Again, we were at swim meet land all weekend with really crappy internet, so.
Yeah. Okay, so that's it for book of the week. Patreon update. We have book club coming up here in April. We're doing The Silent Waters by Brittany Cherry. If you'd like details on how to join us for book club, you can check out our website at buzzingaboutromance.com. Swag Pack sponsoring author for March is Lizzie B. Brown. She is the author of Obedience. You can find her books in Kindle Unlimited. Also, after popular demand and because I bought new mugs and felt like I needed a reason to show them off, coming back tomorrow and for the whole month of April, Mug Monday. Snap a picture of your mugs. It can be like you planted a flower in a mug. It can be that you hold pens in a mug. You don't have to drink coffee out of the mugs. You can go to the store and just take pictures of all the cute mugs at the store. But you can find
why
details.
Would you not take a cute mug home with you?
Monsters don't buy mugs, is what I'm telling you. Like,
we have too many mugs.
Again, we're not talking about mugs and books.
And only in the sense for I don't have any more space for them.
I know. My husband's building a new cabinet. So, anyway.
I had to buy those like things where you can stack your mugs.
Oh my God. Okay, so join us for Mug Monday. Make sure you are back here Wednesday night for our discussion of The Broker by Nikki Sloan. It's her latest release and it's available in Kindle Unlimited. Since we had to cancel last week's Sip and Discuss Wednesday episode, we are going to have a special Sip and Discuss episode Friday, April the 11th, where we will chat about all things Whitney, My Love by Judith McNutt. So if you haven't read that yet, there's still time to read it and join us on April the 11th. So that's a wrap into our deep dive of age gap romances. Whether you love them for the drama, the emotional depth, or just the swoon-worthy tension, there's no denying this trope has serious staying power in romance. Don't forget to let us know your favorite age gap romance over on Instagram or in our exclusive Discord. If you'd enjoyed this episode, leave us a rating, review, and we'll be back next week with more bookish fun. Right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll be back. Actually, next week we have authors here. We have a little round table next week.
Yes, round table is next week.
Next week's round table. Anyway, Heather, Leah, thank you so much for hanging out and sharing your age gap recs with me.
It's always a good time.
Anyway, until next time, everybody.
Happy reading, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.